Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Silicon Zeros. We did the, what was it, stages? No, products in the last one. Maybe we did both, actually, I don't remember. Interesting. Ideal, we could have used substantially fewer ticks, huh? Interesting. Would it have needed more modules to do that? I don't know, whatever. I don't plan to perfect everything. Fast 2 is coming up next. Dana, Carol tells me you are almost ready to build the new CPU. That is very good to hear. The investors are getting very antsy, ha ha ha. Please execute all instructions quickly. We can talk more when you are done. Okay. So what are the instructions? We have mset and addm. And that's about it, right? Source -4? Okay, for the value. So this suggests that we want a 3-stage pipeline, right? It's allowing us 32 ticks per stage, but with 2 extra stages of buffer. So that's my suggestion is we'll want sort of three parts of the pipeline here. But that's just a guess. What do I have access to? Just about everything. No output selector is the main one that stands out to me. Alright, well, let's grab our counter. That's going to be the address we're reading from, of course. And we need a reader. Probably should be adding this to, like, part of the standard or whatever. I don't know. How long does an instruction decoder take? 4. So you could imagine putting a register in the middle here to make this delay faster. Because the amount of time that we have is 32 ticks. That's a while, actually. Right, we're only at 17 right now. We can afford 15 more ticks in this first stage if we want. So I think that's the idea, is to like compute as much as you can in the time allotted. Save those results to a register, and then in the next tick, work on the results of that register. Seems like a rough plan of attack. Alright, well, so we've decoded this, and we're getting out memory set of 4. -4, I should say. So it's an op selector, right, okay. So that seems useful, right? We want that. If it's a memory set, we want to set the thing from source, probably? Wait, what am I doing? Do I want an op selector? Okay, in both cases, we're writing to the result to dest somewhere. What we write will differ. And so source is either an immediate value to write or one of the 2 addresses to read. So maybe this is a good place to put a register in, just to save these 4 values, right? And then work on the next instruction. So this makes us 19. That's substantially faster than we have to be, but it seems like a good approach. Why not, right? So having done this, what do we do next? Actually, we have to put more in here, right? No, we don't. We don't need to know what slot we were reading from. It's not one of those ones where what you write to depends on the current location. So we want an adder in here that is reading source plus target, right? That's useful. I don't know, we'll wire it up like that. Don't want them touching because we have to pull source apart for memset as well. No, we don't want to add these. They're memory addresses, not values. So what we need is two readers, like so, fed by source and dest, with an adder in front of them, behind them, I suppose. Okay. And destination, we need another register here for a third stage of the pipeline, I think. I predicted we would need a third stage, and by God, I'm going to make sure we need one. So the trick is, now, we need to put two things here. One, the value to write, and two, where to write it. So the where to write it is easy, it's destination. The value to write is trickier. It's either this or this. Well, this, I should say. Depending on what this operation was. But that's easy. We have an operation select, an opcell operation selector. Operation selector. Operation? Where do I put operation? Can't figure out where to put the emphasis in that word. If it's add, then we do this. If it's mset, then we do this. And the output goes here. Now, we could just send this directly to a writer, of course, right? But remember, writers are very slow, and we can just dump this into a register to make it faster. And start decoding the next instruction while we wait for the write to propagate, basically. So let's just put in this writer here, like so. See, now what we have is a writer. Effectively, this register is a writer that has a write delay of 2 instead of 12, so long as you're willing to wait an extra cycle for it. And we have a quite, what's the word I'm thinking of here? It's not brisk, snappy? Yeah, a quite snappy clock cycle, I think, at 19. We're being allowed 32, which seems like egregiously large. I must be missing something. Let's run a test and see what happens. I'm reasonably happy with this, but definitely could be missing something. And I won't do this yet. I want to see how stuff flows through the system. So of course, we're waiting right now for the latch to, the latch has stabilized. What it's going to write for the next cycle doesn't really matter. The reader is almost done stabilizing what it read from the latch. It's got an mset. And it's sending that to the decoder, which is now stabilized, and is saving the results to a register. Actually, here's an interesting question. Which pipeline is slower? This is 2, 6, 20, right? Except, no, it doesn't care about this latch. So it's 2, 6, 18. This is our slowest cycle, I think. How about this one? The stuff that goes on into this register. We've got 2, 3, 6, 18. Okay. So if we moved this over to the second cycle is what I was thinking. Would it be faster or slower? It would be slower. So we like it on the left side. Alright, great. So back to testing. We decode the instruction. We wait for the register to stabilize. And interestingly, just as that register stabilizes, so does this one? Why? What changed for you? Ah, I see. No, wait. Do I see? Yeah, this guy has been stable for ages. So what happened? I guess what happened is that these writers just became stable, saying, yep, didn't read anything, which is causing this adder to start wondering about its life. And it's now sending a thing over here, saying, yep, didn't read anything, which is causing the operation selector to sort of bounce a little, right? So just at the same time that we're waiting for this register to save the previous instruction, this register is just now realizing, oh, there's nothing for me to do this cycle. Great news. So it's quite nice that we got these timed out exactly right. Very pleased with that, even though it was luck. Or at any rate, it wasn't really my decision, you know. It happened as a consequence of the decisions Pleasing Fungus made when making the game, I guess. Okay, so that's the first full tick, right? And now this guy is going off. And he's concluded, yep, this was an MSET. So the value we should be reading is this one. From here, the -4. We're going to ignore all these inputs. Send a -4 into input 68. Is that what we want? It is. But after this has stabilized, it will become destabilized again by this reader and adder stuff going on. Why has this one not become destabilized? Because we never wrote anything here. We didn't just reset it to nil, which would cause... We actually didn't write anything. Okay. Now we've stabilized, and we're waiting for the... Wait. Yes, we've just now finished stabilizing everything for cycle number 2. And this register has saved what we need to write, and now this is going to start writing while we work on the next instructions. Okay, I'm pretty happy with this. This is a cool little pipeline. And I know I can just skip this, but it's kind of satisfying, you know, to watch it all go. Be like, yeah, look at the data flowing through the system. We got numbers clicking everywhere, lights going on all the wires. It's very exciting. All the same, I sort of wish it were a bit faster. These are red. Is that bad? That's bad. Red is bad. All right, so we didn't get it right. Why not? Also, we ran out of time. Really? Oh, I see. I think that we ran out of time. Oh yeah, we ran out of time not because we were too slow, but because the values we put into memory were wrong, and the simulator was like, ah, maybe this is just temporary. Maybe he'll get the right values there eventually. And so we advanced all the way to like input number 17 or 16 or something, and we're writing complete nonsense. So when did things actually go wrong? What's the last input? It's 7. So have we written anything wrong at this point? The answer is yes. We wrote something bad in slot 50. When did that happen? Where is 50? Here. Okay. It's at tick 5. Oh, wait a minute. Is it because we're buffering for too long? We're reading... Oh, yeah. Our stages don't happen instantly. We have a data dependency, I bet, right? So we're saying add to slot... add slots... Wait, what? Okay, let's just reset here. Tab. So our input right now is like pretty sparse. But we're setting 50 to be 60 plus 75. And then just a little while later, we're using 50 again. Even worse, though, is here, where we're using 93 immediately after writing it. Okay, so maybe we can't actually afford this faster memory writer that you have to be willing to wait for. We're not really willing to wait. We need to make sure that the value we computed from adding these two has been flushed to memory before we start reading another thing, right? So we need to get rid of this register. Fortunately, though, well, actually, the way to replace it is very simple. We just wire these guys up like that, get rid of this guy, and now we have a slower thing that doesn't buffer, right? And now we're at 29, which is much closer to our budget. I was a little surprised, I suppose I might say, that I had been able to get out so quickly. Okay, so we're just resolving that we're going to write nothing. And we're about to save these guys. And we do. Now we start working on the next instruction. So, okay, we can only afford a two-stage pipeline right now. Maybe if we were a bit fancier, we could add a third stage to speed things up. But reading and writing kind of always has to be in the same stage, I think, unless we're very, very clever. More clever than I am. Because the read could have a dependency on the write, basically, right? And so we need to make sure that we're completely done with it. We can't just have its result waiting. Okay. Ah, Dana, if the CPU looks at all like this, I am sure it will be a big success on the market. I have been doing much thinking. I misjudged many things and many people. I thought I could improve the world, but somehow it all became about money and those who love it. I am stepping down soon, and Carolyn will run things, but someday we will meet again. Interestingly, we made, allegedly, the ideal number of modules and ticks, which I didn't expect. I thought there'd be some way to make this go faster. Cool. Well, puzzle select. Do we have time to do delay CPU? Maybe, maybe not. Oh, I don't want to go back. I want to go to here. Maybe have a look at one of these asides, see if we can do something a bit shorter here, rather than dive into something difficult. Now let's look at jump. At lunch today, Alicia was talking about flow control. Instructions that change how a program runs. I'm not sure I followed all of it, but I think I have an idea of how to start. Execute all instructions. So here we have set R, add R, and save. We've done all of these before, right? Where's the jumps? Here's a jump. Just set the instruction pointer to 16. Well, that's fine, I think. So do we already have something that does set R, add R, and save? Also, it looks like we don't have ticks to worry about this time. Okay. So I think we have something already that does set R, add R, and save. What's DRFR? That's a different thing. Okay. Was that actually just our... Oh, jeez, stop taking me back. I just want to go here. Was that our... Aerith CPU? Yeah, this does set R, add R, and save. So let's grab all of this and bring it to jump. Whoa! Alright. So most of this, in fact, I suspect, yeah, when we say run test, it actually takes us to the second test, because the first test passed. So that's what I expected. The first test doesn't have any jumps, so it succeeded. The second test is the one with jumps, and so it's going to fail. This should be pretty simple, I think. Is that we just need to add a little change to how this latch stores its value, right? All the rest of this stuff can stay the same. If the current instruction is a jump, then both of these instruction decoders are going to produce nils, basically, right? On all the interesting stuff. We won't have an input for them for jumps, they'll just be nil, don't do anything. So what we need then is another instructions, or an op selector, I think. That's on R? Yeah. Over here. That works on this. And if it is a jump, then we're going to take the dest, that's this, and write it to here. Otherwise, the output of this adder is going to be all of the other inputs. Like so. So if the instruction is anything but a jump, we'll just take the result of adding 1 to the latch. But if the instruction is a jump, we'll take the destination of the jump as our thing. I don't think there's any particularly clever way to do it without adding another instruction selector, or op selector. Alright, let's see what happens. So we're in test 2, right? Oh, I forgot. This is like going whole ticks at once. Okay, so let's, we're tick 3 right now. So we're saying we want to jump to instruction 16. As a result, all of this stuff is outputting a bunch of nils. We're not writing anything to memory. We're not writing anything to our registers. But this 16 is being sent to our controller over here, overriding the 4 that we would have for any other kind of instruction. And it's going to store a 16 into the latch. And as a result, we're now executing instruction 16 instead of instruction 4, which is what would have been next. And we can just say go. Working so late at night, it's hard not to drift, to think about the past. In high school, I got jumped, ahead of grade. Oh, because of the jump, okay. I was always quiet, but surrounded by older kids. I stopped talking almost entirely. This comma should not be a comma. Oh, no, I was always quiet, but surrounded by older kids, I stopped talking almost entirely. It's not incorrect, but it kind of tricks the reader, right? I was always quiet, but surrounded by older kids. Period. And then a new thought, I stopped talking almost entirely. But it's actually supposed to be read as, I was always quiet, but, I know why this is confusing. It is wrong, but it's not this comma, it's this one. It should say, I was always quiet, but, comma, surrounded by older kids, comma. This is a parenthetical clause. The comma here is optional, but you must have a comma here after but, or the sentence comes out wrong. Which is why I was so confused when I was reading it. I stopped talking almost entirely. People here hardly seem to notice. Maybe that's part of what I like about ZeroCom. Everyone else is so happy to talk, all I need to do is work. And we did it best number of modules, how nice. Okay, cool. And I think that little, it's not an aperitif, right? That would be a pre-dinner meal. What's Obviously you have dessert after dinner, but that's not quite what this is. It was, I don't know. I'm thinking of the word prandial, or postprandial, which is something to do with, like, the brandy that you would drink after dinner, I think? Not sure about that. Anyway, that's sort of, I don't know. A little snack after the main course. Whatever. Who knows what it's called. I'm not that good at English. Was a fun way to take a break after the more difficult Fast 2. Cool. So it's nice to have those asides to go back to whenever I feel like I want. I don't know. There's plenty of hard asides, but there's a selection of difficulties. I can grab something of whatever difficulty that I need. It's not strictly ordered. Anyway, it's nice to have. So, as predicted, that is now the end of this episode. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.